So, hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the forecast, which is the 7-Eleven case. And before we move to the summary of this case, I will give you a short introduction about 7-Eleven. So, 7-Eleven is one of the largest convenience store in the world. It was started back in 1927 when a worker began selling milk, bread, and eggs at an ice shop in Texas. Then, in 1946, the company changed its name to 7-Eleven because its stores stayed open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And the company has grown to include tens of thousands of stores across North America, Asia, and other parts of the world. And the brand is well known for its own special items like the Slurpee frozen drinks and the Big Bite hot dog. And I do think that 7-Eleven have this smart strategy where the store managers track their daily sales to understand what their local customers want to buy and what their local customers need. So it allows them to keep the right items on the shelves uh, always always on stock. And 7-Eleven is always open, so most stores eventually changed to stay open 24 hour a day, so it gave people quick and easy access to fresh food, drinks, and also everyday supplies whenever they need them without them having to wait for the morning to come. Then now we are moving to the summary of the case. So back in May 2004, Jim Keys, the CEO of 7-Eleven, was leading a major transformation of the company. So this brand had a 75-year history, and Keys was working to rebuild its operation. So under his leadership, um, earning stores increased by 15.6% in 2003, and the stock prices also increased significantly from 9.41 US dollar in April 2002 to 16.90 US dollar in April 2004. However, despite these achievements, Keys faced several ongoing operational strategies and also human resources challenges. So, the United States convenience store industry generated around uh, 200 and 290,000 290.6 billion US dollar in total sales in 2002, and the market was highly fragmented, with single store operators accounting for 60% of all stores, while oil companies operated about 100,000 gas station convenience stores. So 7-Eleven was the largest corporate chain in market at the time, holding a 4% market share. Uh, and just like I told you before, 7-Eleven began in 1926 as the Southland Ice Company and adopted the 7-Eleven name in 1946 to reflect its extended operating hours. Then, over time, the company expanded by adding gas pumps and expanding overseas. Then, in 1980s, the company attempted a vertically integrated strategy by buying Citgo Petroleum. However, this move backfired due to high debt, and Southland eventually filed for bankruptcy protection in 1990. And in 1991, Japanese partners Ito-Yokado and 7-Eleven Japan acquired a controlling stake. And then by 2003, global sales across 25,796 owned, franchised, and wait, sorry, and licensed stores reached about 36.5 billion US dollar. So, what are they? What is their business structure and strategies? So, 7-Eleven operated three main store structures. The first one is their corporate stores was owned and run directly by corporate employees. So it's about 2,480 locations in North America. Then there are franchise stores. It was run by independent contractors who paid a franchise fee and inventory costs, while 7-Eleven owned or leased the land and equipment. And their strategies were so the licensed store it was operated by foreign retail partners who paid consulting fees to use 7-Eleven's brand equity and their technology systems. So Keys introduced the retailer initiative, a strategy to shift the company culture. So it inspired by 7-Eleven Japan, and this strategy empowered individual store operators to make local inventory and also ordering decisions using daily sales data. And the second strategy is 7-Eleven redesigned its supply chain to improve efficiency and also store freshness. So the combined distribution centers are known as CDCs. The company set up around 23 CDCs across the United States to consolidate daily vendors' shipments. And this model replaced individual um, vendor deliveries method, and it also reduced store inventory costs and delivery traffic. Then the third strategy is the stores operators received technology systems to track sales trend, and it also evaluates local customers preferences and check weather forecasts to adjust daily orders. Then major suppliers like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Budweiser resisted delivering to CDCs because they wanted to maintain direct control over the shelf space. Then the average store stock 300 SKUs, and the head office recommended 70% of the products, while local store operators closed the remaining 30% to fit the local demand. And for the sales breakdown, tobacco was the largest product category at 29.4% of merchandise sales, then followed by beverages at 23.1%, then beer and wine at 11.4%, and fresh foods at 7.2%. Then gasoline made up about 31.3% net sales. And 7-Eleven also developed unique acquired unique private label items such as the Slurpee and the Big Bite hot dogs, just like I mentioned before in the introduction of 7-Eleven. And the company also experimented with new offerings like Easy D, which is disposable DVDs, low carb snacks, premium half bottle wines, and FECOM financial service. Yeah. Uh, and then and then besides the strategy that Keys already made, there were also the struggles that I mentioned before. So franchises expressed dissatisfaction dissatisfaction with the historical 52 per 48 profit split in favor of the corporation. In response, 7-Eleven proposed a new 50-50 split agreement that required franchises to order 85% of items from recommended vendors. And the convenience store industry faced high employee turnover rates exceeding 100%, and Keys aimed to differentiate 7-Eleven as an employer through training programs at 7-Eleven University uh, and social initiatives like the Education is Freedom Foundation. Then the fluctuating gasoline profits margins, uh, the potential increases in the minimum wage, and the stricter tobacco regulations created financial uncertainty for store profitability. But then 7-Eleven still planned their future expansion. So 7-Eleven planned to continue expanding their domestic locations by adopting like low-cost urban real estate strategies. And internationally, the company focused on expanding its licensing model into new high growth markets like in China and also South America. But then now, I will tell you a bit more detailed about 7-Eleven historical evolution and also their strategic missteps, so you can understand this case better. So the first thing that I will tell you is the Citgo diversification. Just like I told you before, 7-Eleven bought Citgo Petroleum, and in 1983, Southland acquired Citgo Petroleum to vertically integrate its operations by directly controlling uh, their dairy production. So the CEO, Jim Keyes, later noted this strategy backfired. The leadership team lacked experience in oil and refining dairy farming, so it leads to severe financial strain. Then, following the 1990 default on 1.8 billion US dollar in public debt, Southland finally negotiated with bondholders to clear this 1.8 billion US dollar in liabilities by exchanging 25% of company stock, and the structural debt uh, clearing set up on the controlling interest purchased by IYG Holding in 1991. And now I will tell you a bit more detail about their micro level store operations and their inventory logistics. So unlike big box retailers, convenience stores operate on a wide but shallow inventory model, such as stocking only 4 bottles of ketchup at any given time per store. And this micro inventory setup requires rapid replenishment to avoid running out of stock. So local store managers are given explicit authority over 30% of their merchandise mix. So this allows operators to quickly stock up on extra beer for local sporting events or tailor item selection to neighborhood demographics. And then about like I mentioned before about the 23 regional combined distribution centers or CDCs average 20,000 square feet in size. But despite their small physical footprint, each facility processes and ships roughly 60,000 units per day to service up to 700 local stores within a 90-minute driving radius. And the introduction of self-service pay at the pump technology and pay at the pump technology have significantly changed store demographics. It drives female customers' usage at the gasoline pumps to over 50%. And the convenience retail industry also heavily relies on high-low pricing, so it charges higher than average prices on everyday items in exchange for immediate location access while selectively discounting high volume staples like gasoline, beer, and cigarettes. And then beyond coffee and Slurpees, which are famous as their product, single unit beer purchases represent more than half of all total beer volume sold across domestic stores of 7-Eleven. And out of 7-Eleven's 70,000 employees, around 60,000 staff the overnight shifts across corporate locations, presenting distinct security and operational management demands. And then to support the retailer initiative, 7-Eleven introduced a 12-week certification program for store managers and a 2-day skill building course for hourly sales associates, certifying nearly a third of store operators by late 2003. There, then following post 9/11 anti-immigrant sentiment directed at front staff, 7-Eleven launched a targeted advertising campaign highlighting immigrant franchise owners achieving the American dream. And the company then tied this campaign to its 75th anniversary celebration held on uh, Ellis, Ellis, Ellis Island, and launched the Education is Freedom Foundation to fund higher education for employees and their families.